Hi, folks. I'm Kurt Roney, the instructor for this course, Business 410, on business policy and strategy. This is a capstone course. It's meant to enable you to practice and review many of the subjects and skills that you've learned in your business curriculum. For most of you, this will be one of the very last courses that you take in your business curriculum. At the same time, the course is a technical content in which you will gather some skills in strategic management and strategic planning so that you can participate in planning activities that occur in the company where you go to work. So the purpose of this video is to give you a briefing on what will happen in this course and the specific activities that will take place so that you can be prepared for them. We'll also talk about a project that you will do with teammates throughout the course. Which you will present with your teammates at the end of the course. So we've got a lot to cover in this briefing, and to help me do that, I'm going to bring up a set of PowerPoint slides which you can find on your Moodle shell. So you might want to stop this video if you haven't seen those PowerPoints and go ahead and print them off. So that if you need to, you can take notes on items that you want to remember or follow up on later. So with that, let me see if I can bring these PowerPoints up. It's always a little difficult here in Zoom because Zoom keeps improving the system. And each time they improve it, I have to figure out how they improved it. So give me just a minute here. Let's see if this does it. Well, that wasn't too bad, was it? There we go. Okay, so let's get going. At least I hope we'll get going. There we are. So this course is about strategic management, and it's about assessing the environment that a firm does business in, the economy, the market, the industry with all the competitors, as well as the firm's capabilities to do business in that environment, and perhaps what new abilities will be required in the future, as well as the actions that need to be taken to maximize performance potential. Those activities altogether are strategy. We'll get into a more specific definition of strategy a bit later. But with your team mates, you will develop strategies for this, the company that you choose to study and present at the end of the course. The last thing we'll talk about in the course before we get to those cases is the implementation of strategy. One of the things that I learned as a practicing strategic planner for about 4 decades is that the theory is one thing, and we need it, and it keeps getting better and better. But we also need to learn how to make that theory happen, how to make strategy happen. How to implement it. And that's easier said than done because corporations are made up of real people with real assets and real competitors and real customers, and they don't always work exactly the same way the theory says they're supposed to. I do hope you'll read this little excerpt. It's got a lot of words, but it really summarizes what's in the course. So I'm sorry, but I'm actually going to read it, and please follow along with me. This course concentrates on the managerial tasks of crafting and implementing comprehensive strategies and plans for achieving sustained competitive advantage, not short term, but sustained long term. A fundamental theme of the course is that firms are most likely to achieve sustained success if their managers have sound strategic plans. It's both a skills course and a big picture course that integrates knowledge gained from your prior business courses. It'll sharpen your ability to think strategically by assessing and matching internal capabilities and competences to opportunities and problems in that external business environment. You also will learn how to select goals, develop strategic objectives, and form strategies to achieve those objectives. Thus, the course integrates perspectives of the chief executive, senior management, and the entire management structure. So there it is, all in one slide. That's what the course is about. Please hold on to this little slide and review it once in a while, because it is what the course is about. This is a little background. There are 2 slides here that'll just tell you what I've done in the past to become qualified to offer you instruction in strategic management. In the past, I've been vice president for corporate planning and development at Phillips Industries. I also was director of corporate planning at Holiday Inn. And I was managing principal of a small strategic management consulting firm. Before that, I was a senior consultant at a big consulting firm called Pete Marwick Mitchell and Company, which is now called KPMG, which is best known as an auditing firm. Along the way, I was employed by PepsiCo, the company that now consists of Pepsi-Cola and Frito-Lay, as an internal consultant in their New York headquarters to help their various divisions do strategic planning. Academically, while I was still working in industry, I was an adjunct professor at the graduate management program called the McGregor School at Antioch University in Ohio. And then after I retired, I became an associate professor of management at North Carolina Wesleyan. And about more than 12 years ago now, I became professor of management here at what was then called Mount Olive College, and is now, of course, the University of Mount Olive, the Tillman School of Business. So that's who I am. The scope of the course is summarized on the slide, and we've pretty much covered it already, but it covers the strategic management process, all those steps that I talked about, to take a look at the firm's capabilities, the external environment, to select mission, and that is how the firm fits into the external environment and performs an economic purpose that justifies its existence. And then in order to lay out a plan, it's got to form goals, broad standards for accomplishment, and then more specific objectives for strategies in marketing, manufacturing, engineering, and so forth. And then finally, to develop those strategies as activity programs to achieve the goals and objectives, and hopefully by doing so, gain competitive advantage. That is, to be able to perform that mission better than other companies that would like to perform the same mission. And finally, as I mentioned a moment ago, we'll spend some time talking about how to implement strategy, which is so important. So here it is the same thing in another form, but the objectives of this course for you. Pardon me for drinking my coffee. If you are in class with me, you will find that I'm a coffee addict. I'm never without my coffee cup. In any event, we want you to gain some skills in strategic management so you can use them when you go to work as a manager in a company. We want you to understand what it is that makes a good plan and a good strategy versus others, because lots of people try to do this stuff. And a key concept is distinctive competence. Somehow your firm and what you do in that firm has to be done better than other companies that try to do the same thing. And when you do it better, it's called distinctive competence. And it may be because your position in the market is more favorable. It may be because your capabilities and resources are superior. One way or the other, you've got to get distinctive competence. And then we'll take a look at the difference between planning for a single business. Lots of small companies have just one business, but big corporations are comprised of many businesses. So we'll look at the multi-division corporation planning and the single business corporation or single business planning. Again, as I said earlier, you will learn techniques for forming goals and the objectives of strategy and then strategy itself. And once again, we'll focus in on how to make it happen, implementation. Another thing that you will realize is that strategy just doesn't happen once. It's a forever thing. It's dynamic, it's ongoing, it's constantly being updated and renewed. Why? Because those exterior conditions in the external environment, the economy, market, and industry, they're always changing, as well as the firm's capabilities. They're always changing with new technology and new machinery and so forth. So this balancing act between external environment and internal resources is constantly shifting, and so strategy has to shift constantly as well. And all of this brings to mind the fact that orchestrating this, making all this stuff happen right, is the responsibility of top management. And so you may not step right into the role of a president or chairman or chief executive when you walk out of this business school, but what you do will be affected by the decisions of that person. And for you to appreciate why certain decisions are being made, it really helps if you can see strategic planning from the perspectives of top management. And so as we go through the course, since I've been there, I'll try to share these perspectives with you from both my own perspective as a vice president of a large corporation and as an advisor, a consultant to the chief executives of many corporations. So in addition to the theory in the textbook, I'm going to try to tell you a little bit about how things are really practiced. I hope I succeed at that, and I hope that you benefit from it. It's a capstone course. And the reason it's a capstone course is that this case study enables you to bring together all the skills and knowledge that you've gained in all of your other courses in the business curriculum. But the case study is something else. It has the requirement for you to function in a team and to share responsibility for getting a lot of work done on a case to study a company. And that is itself a very important part of the course. I compare this case study to what goes on in a chemistry course. You know, in a chemistry course, you study the periodic table and valences and the nature of matter. And then you go into the laboratory to demonstrate it and maybe blow the place up. Well, I hope that you won't be blowing up any corporations in this course, but this lab work is, or casework in business is kind of like lab work. We study the principles of how companies fit together and form strategy, and then we do the case to understand how it really happened in real life and perhaps how it could have been done better. And that'll be your project. That's what your project is all about. Now, the course is short enough considering all the things we have to do. And to make it worse, this recording is being made while a pandemic is going on. And that pandemic has had the effect of having the university curtail academic activities, to close classes. And we really can't predict with perfect accuracy how the semester is going to unfold. Not only that, and so the schedule for this course could change. What also could change the course is that we find something interesting and you want to pursue it a little more. And if I think that it'll benefit the class, I'll let things get off schedule just so we can delve deeper, more deeply into a particular topic. One thing's for sure, and it's the last bullet, and that is that you got to make enough time for this course. What you get out of the course is to a great extent what you put into it, but the requirements of the course make it necessary for you to put a lot in the course, and you just have to make the time to do that. There's no way around it. Okay, so here's how the course basically is structured. There are going to be lectures just like this one, 4 of them in fact. These lectures are going to add to what's in your textbook. Textbook's not very long. It's only got 10 chapters. And they're good chapters, and they're written by real experts. But they're more about theory than practice. And so what I'll do, if you're in a class with me, which you may not be, but if you are, I'm going to try to share with you in these lectures some of the methods by which strategic management is actually practiced. Now, if you happen to be watching this video and you're preparing for an 8-week course, a so-called non-traditional course, either in the evening or online, some of the things that I'll be talking about, including that case analysis, may not be included in the course. They will if you're in an 8-week course that is conducted in a classroom, but they won't if the course is conducted online. We just don't have that opportunity. But the purpose of the lectures in any way is to provide you with some insight into the realities, the practicalities of strategic management. And those lectures have been video recorded. So whether I teach your course or not, you'll probably have a chance to see my smiling face again. Sorry about that. Anyway, so there will be reviews in our classes of all 10 chapters, as well as the lectures, and there will be quizzes on each of those things. Now, in addition, I'm going to try to fold in a few, not many, short readings on the coronavirus and what the coronavirus, what its impact has been on management and the conduct of management. and that external environment that the firm's trying to do business in. When this textbook was written, when every textbook that's being used today was written, there wasn't any coronavirus. And a whole lot has changed as a result of that coronavirus. So for us to just pretend that that's not here just because it's not in the textbook just doesn't seem to me to be a very, very intelligent thing to do. So I'd like us to talk a little bit about the coronavirus, maybe read a couple articles about that and have a discussion. I may not even have quizzes on those readings. I'd rather get the discussion than the paperwork. On the other hand, if nobody's paying attention, I may have to use quizzes just to be sure that you really read the material. We'll see how that goes. Then, of course, you're going to do that case. And there's a lot of work that's going to be required during the course to prepare the material for that case. And I'm there to help you do that. Remember, I was a consultant. That's kind of like a doctor who makes house calls. I used to visit companies all over the world and help them do their strategic planning. So if I did it for them, I can do it for you too. Now, there's a fine line here. I want to make sure that you do the strategic plan, the work on this strategic planning case. On the other hand, I don't want to impose myself so much that you feel like you don't have to do it or you want to wait for me to do it for you. I'm not going to do it for you, but if you don't know how to do it, I'll definitely show you how and help you along the way when you need the help. And I want to help you. It's not because I'm a good guy, but just because that's what I'm here for. So please take advantage of me as a resource to help you do this case. Okay, after each case has been presented, these will be in the last 2 or 3 weeks of the course. As each team has presented, after each team has presented its case, we'll have a little discussion and I'll try to identify a key issue, a strategic issue that exists in this case that makes it particularly interesting or important. And then I'll ask you to write a little paper about it, not a big, huge report, just a short paper. If you want me to guess, I'd say 2 to 3 pages. I have no idea what the length will really be. But the idea is simply to give you a chance to think a little bit about what you saw this team present. Also, it's meant to give you an incentive to attend the presentation because it's going to be a hell of a lot more difficult to write the paper if you haven't attended the presentation. Okay, so there will be 3 tests during the course. You can see them on the screen. And a final exam. The final exam is going to be based on the principles of strategic management that are demonstrated by those cases that are presented. Once again, a pretty good reason to be in attendance when those presentations are given. Okay, so this is just a summary of what I've just told you. What do you have to do to get through this course? Got to take a bunch of quizzes. You got to take 3 tests. You got to do a presentation with your team, answer those simple questions, and take a final exam. That's all. And here's how your grade will be calculated. The quizzes, if I had my way, there would be no points for the quizzes. Quizzes are not meant to discover what you are not meant to assess your knowledge about the material covered in the course. That's not their purpose. Quizzes, the purpose of quizzes is not assessment. Lots of instructors get that wrong. Quizzes are meant to be learning aids. So you read the material, you attend the lecture, you review the PowerPoints, you take the quiz. You get some things wrong. What do you do now? Well, you go find out which questions you missed and find out what the right answer is, and go back to the book and maybe review that. And if you do, when it comes time to take the test, you ought to do a lot better. And that's when your knowledge should be assessed. So 15 points, because if I don't put points on the quizzes, some points, you won't take the quiz. And then its purpose will be lost. So 50, if you just think about this for a minute, 15 points out of 100. Supposing you get a grade of B- on every quiz, grade of 80. Now, most of you will do much better than that, but let's just say 80. What's 80% of 15 points? 12. So you've dropped 3 points, okay, out of 100. Can you still get an A in this course? You bet you can. You've got 97 points left. So these 15 points, I hope you don't get them all right. I hope you miss a few. 90%. What's 90%? That's what, 13 and a half points out of 15. So you drop 1.5 points. But the purpose of the quizzes is to get you to go back and review stuff. I hope that you use them that way. So then there are 3 tests. If you go back and look, the last part of the course only has a couple courses. It's not, has 1 lecture. It's short, and so it has only 10 points. The other 2 have 15 points. Your presentation is worth 15 points. Those case discussion questions are worth 10 points. And the test on what's in the strategy in the cases, the principles in the cases, another 15 points. So if you add those last 3 items, you've got 40 points out of 100, which are practice. And if you look at the top 2, 55 points are theory. So it's pretty well divided between theory and practice, which is exactly what, a good course in strategic management ought to have. It ought to be divided about like that. There are 5 more points, and I can't do a thing about it. It's not up to me at all. The university and the business school require that you take, at the end of the course, an outbound exam that assesses how much you have learned about business in its entirety, management. There are different tests for accounting majors, for HR majors, and for management majors. So be sure you get the right test. But you must purchase these tests. You can purchase them from the author, from the producer of the test, Peregrine. You can see its name there. Or you can purchase it from our bookstore, and it'll cost you a little bit more there. The university uses, or the business school uses, the results from these tests to compare itself to other universities. And if we don't do as well in a particular discipline as other schools do, then we take a look and see what we have to do to make our course material better. I'm pleased to say that we've never been disappointed yet by students' results in strategic management. So don't let me down. Anyway, we don't have an alternative here. You gotta take this thing. I don't like it. The reason I don't like it is because it's not related to strategic management. And but there's just no choice in it for me or for you. You gotta take the test. Okay, so we've talked about the case. This slide just sort of provides a little bit more, I don't know, a summary of what I've already told you. In a moment, I'm going to show you a couple slides that will identify the alternative cases that you can choose from with your teammates. And very often, these cases are involve competition. And so if one of the cases happens to be Pfizer, the drug company, well, there are a lot of drug companies in the world and in the United States. So very often when textbooks write about these things, they call them the drug wars. And similarly, you can just imagine if you study one car company like Ford, you're going to study the competition from a lot of other car companies. So it's the competition, the rivalry that makes these cases as interesting as they are. And as I said earlier, after each presentation, I'm going to try to pick out a strategic issue that we can discuss and that you can write a short answer about. Okay, and then the final exam will be based on these cases. So your textbook has several cases in the appendix at the back, and these are good cases. I have not chosen all of them. I've chosen cases that have carryover value. So Mattel is about toys, but the Mattel case carries over to other industries and other companies. Tesla, obviously, the auto industry. Starbucks, the food service and beverage industry and so forth. Under Armour, sports and sportswear and clothing and so forth. But I did not choose some of the cases at the back of the book that are either very short, incomplete, or don't have carryover value, in my opinion. But the good news is that these cases usually have a fair amount of financial information, which will save you time in putting together the financial information that is required in an outline that you will find on your Moodle shell that summarizes the contents of every case analysis. So it's the required outline that you must follow. Now, the outline also includes financial projections to demonstrate what the goals or 5-year financial results might be. And I will provide you with material that has been prepared by an investment advisory service that schedules out projected financial results. So you don't have to do too much of this. You do have to do some, and one person on your team should be an accountant or a financial person or comfortable doing numbers. And that person will probably work with me a little bit more just to make sure that the financial content is proper. In any event, the textbook serves up quite a bit of stuff for you. They're very well written. The problem is that their scope is fairly limited, and they don't include a lot of industrial cases, big corporation cases. So this is a list of cases that teams in my classes have done over the years. And I have good files, some sample PowerPoints to at the right time share with you. I won't give them to you immediately because I want you to get involved with the market and the firm's capabilities and do some analytic work before I give you those samples. But you can see that these are more industrial in nature. Boeing, the aircraft company, Caterpillar, the heavy equipment company, Deere and Company. You can see Deere and Caterpillar competing in one market segment. Then we've got some consumer products companies, Pfizer, Walgreens, PepsiCo, my old alumnus. And then the auto companies, which is where my consulting firm did a lot of work. You see three more auto companies. And finally, another industrial services company, FedEx. So these are cases that you can choose if you don't want to use those cases that I've identified that are in your textbook. You're welcome to use those cases in the textbook, and the case material in the textbook is going to be is going to help you. It's going to make it a little easier, I think. But some of us are more interested in, industrial corporations, and this is a list of 10 for which I have good material, and you are welcome to choose one of these 10 companies as well. Okay, now what I'm going to do at this point is just sort of step through what happens in the course. I'm not going to linger on the details very much because this video has already gone long enough, but I want to at least let you know what to expect. So the first part of the course includes 4 chapters. It's got 2 lectures, and it's about the basics. It's about basic strategic management concepts, about how we gather evidence regarding the industry, the economy, the market, and the firm's capabilities, its resources, and so forth. The lecture 2 goes much further than chapter 3. Chapter 3 is just about the industry. Lecture 2 covers economic, market, and industry analysis. And to be honest with you, it's a pretty long lecture. So you want to set aside enough time for it. Part 2 of the course is about how to make strategic decisions. That is, how to select goals, strategic objectives, and strategies themselves. Again, we have 4 chapters, general strategies, which any company can use, how companies make strategy, get strategy going, not really make it happen, international strategy, and strategy for those corporations that hold several companies, diversification. And once again, you've got a lecture where I'll give you some more specifics and some more details on how companies actually do this stuff, how they select goals and strategies. Funny thing about strategic management textbooks, they use words like goals and objectives, but they really don't tell you a hell of a lot about them or how to form them. You'll see when you get in the book. And this book is no different than any other strategic management book. I think the reason is that the people who write these books haven't really been in industrial management or have done strategic planning in real life. So they keep everything sort of at an elevated strategic level. But when it comes to goals and objectives, strategic objectives especially, the textbooks have a void. And so the purpose of lecture 3 is to fill that void. So when you walk into a company, you know what a goal is, you know what a strategic objective is, you know what an operating objective is, and more importantly, you know how to formulate them. You won't get that from the chapters, but you will get it from me. And finally, implementation. And you can see this is a short section. That's why the test on this part is shorter. But there's a lecture, and then there are a couple of chapters. This is near the end of the course, and while this is going on, the reason I have this section so short, and frankly, the test is so easy, is because at this point, you guys are scrambling to finish your case material, getting ready to present it. And so, you know, the technical work and the textbook sort of eases off a little bit to give you some breathing room. Okay, so then we get to the case, and during the course, we'll stop a couple times to just check and see what the progress of your team is. You'll probably have to make a little mini presentation for 10 minutes or 15 minutes just to explain how your team is doing, maybe show your financial projections, something of that sort. And again, I will meet with your team, and it's very important that everybody from your team attend that meeting, because we want to make sure that everybody knows what's going on and everybody knows what is expected of her or him. Okay, and finally, I'll go over the financials with you. That's just an area that I'm pretty comfortable with. And so whoever does the financial work on your team will probably spend a little bit of time with me just to make sure we've got things right. Okay, so you do the presentation. These presentations are going to last for an hour and a quarter, almost an hour and a half. We'll stop, and at the end of the presentation, we'll have a little discussion. But it'll take you almost an hour and a half, because when you see that outline, you'll understand why. And then after all the presentations are done, we'll have a little review of the principles that were demonstrated in these courses. Now, here we have a little problem because of the pandemic. When we get to Thanksgiving, instead of coming back to campus after Thanksgiving, nobody comes back. The course is finished online. And so the first class after Thanksgiving is when we'll do these reviews. And then perhaps the second day as well. But at the end of the last week, there will be this final exam. And that's what these reviews are intended for, is to get you ready for the final. Okay, so the last item is simply a suggestion. You print off the PowerPoints for the chapters and the lectures. If you do, you'll be able to prepare for the quizzes and, more importantly, for the exams, because you'll have this loose leaf book. Not only that, whether you keep the textbook or not, if you keep a loose leaf book with these PowerPoints and go off to a company with it, you may find that you can use what's in those PowerPoints and look a whole lot better to the people that you work for than other folks who are just coming out of business school. And if you look better and you perform better, you're going to get paid better, because you're going to get promoted faster. And that's what you're doing it for, right? You want to make more money, and you will make more money if you have a loose leaf book with these PowerPoints. The other thing I would ask you to do, if you, and I ask students to do this every year, I get disappointed that some students don't do it. Read the chapter before the class. If you do, it'll be a whole lot easier for us to talk about it. When we review it, it'll be sort of like you're reviewing for the quiz. If you've read the chapter, we review it in class, you could walk right out of class, sit down and take the quiz, and you can forget about that B-. You're going to get an A. And many of you are trying to get an A. This will certainly help. So give this some thought, if you would. Now, with that, I'll see if I can get this thing to, there we go. Let's see. This, I may, the Moodle has its own attitude. Let's see. No, I don't want that. Um, okay, I'm just gonna look into the screen here and tell you that I hope you enjoy this course. Perhaps when I see you in class, I'll know how to use the PowerPoints on Zoom better. But I hope you enjoy the class. I hope this video, even though it was long, has given you a good idea of what to expect in the course, and that you'll be raring to go when I see you. Incidentally, please buy the book before you come to class. Get that textbook, because when on the first day of class, we're gonna get busy right away. One other thing that you might do, talk with your friends. If you know other people who are taking this course and you'd like to join them in a team, get together 3 or 4 people and send me an email. Send me your top 4 selections from those 2 slides that show the optional cases that you can choose. If you are the first team that gets in touch with me, and you can do this right now, you don't have to wait till class, but first come, first serve. So the team that gets in touch with me first will get their first choice. If the second team that gets in touch with me has the same first choice, they'll get their second choice, and so forth. So getting in touch with me sooner rather than later is probably in your best interest. But for those who don't get in touch with me before class, in the first class, we will assign everyone to a team and select cases. So with that, I'm looking forward to meeting you in our first class, and I'll see you then. So, there it is. So with that, I'm going to stop this video and look forward to meeting you real soon. Goodbye.